G'day. Right, so in this video, I want to give you a run through of breathing in regards to your weight training. So breathing is something that will give you the most advantage for nothing, and you'll see a lot of progression out of it the more that you improve on it. So I always tell people you can continue to improve on your breathing whether you've been in the gym for 10 weeks or 10 years. You always continue to improve on it through mindfulness. Right, with that out of the way, let's get into it. So pretty much you're going to take in a big breath and hold it for the hard part of the rep, and you're going to reset on the easy part of the rep. So take the fullest breath that you can, puff up like a toad, because this will help you to brace. The more air that you have in your lungs, the better that you're going to be able to brace. Now with your breathing, it's best to just go one for one. One breath equals one rep. So this might slow down your set, having to break it up a little bit more, and you might lose out on constant tension a little bit, but that's fine because the advantage this will afford you in weight is much more valuable than that anyway. Now, as you improve on this and it starts to become more natural, I think there's going to be some places where it feels better to stretch the breath out for multiple reps, especially when you're doing higher rep. So you might go for 5 and then reset, go another 5 and then reset and go 3 and then go another 2. I still think that most places is going to feel better going one for one, but there are definitely some places where it will feel better to stretch it out. So pretty important, take the breath in your mouth. You'll get a shit breath through your nose, you'll get a much better breath through your mouth. So also take your time with your breathing, especially when you've got the opportunity to. So some exercises like a chest press or shoulder press, whatever, you get a lockout, and on that lockout you're on minimal exertion. It costs you fuck all. So take your time to get the best breath that you can and use that breath to your advantage. So let me give you a quick example of how there are exceptions to everything pretty much, especially with weight training. So I mentioned earlier with the low rep stuff, you're pretty much going to be one for one, which is great. Works really well. I find that with barbell rows, once you fold over, there's a lot of pressure on your lungs, so you really struggle to get a decent breath. So for them, even though it's low rep, I prefer to try and stretch it out and get 5 off one breath or so, just because there's so much pressure on the lungs. Alright, so maybe we'll go and take a quick look at what I'm talking about across a few different exercises, and I'll talk you through it. Alright, let's take a gander. So I've got a few different exercises to show you. Let's start off with the curl. So we're going to take a big breath at the bottom, where there's least pressure on the lungs, where you're at minimal exertion. Hold it as you come up, and then reset as you come down or at the bottom. So where you're going to reset your breath is going to depend where that minimal exertion is. So sometimes it'll be at the top, sometimes it'll be at the bottom. Here we got a straight leg deadlift. We're going to reset at the top, up near that lockout. Big breath, hold it as you come down, hold it as you come up, and then reset. So next we got a squat. You're going to be resetting at the top here where there's least pressure on the lungs, and you can see that I kind of like start to breathe out as I approach the top. It doesn't have to be at the very top. As long as the hardest part of the rep is done and dusted, you can kind of speed it up a little bit, but don't rush it, because if you start breathing out during the hard part of the rep, you'll stuff the whole thing up. Alright, so now we've got an exercise where we're going to do the alternative method, and we're going to hold the same breath for multiple reps. As many as we can get out pretty much. So here on these lateral raises, I'm going to go about 8 or so off the same breath, keep banging them out, and then give myself a second to slow it down and reset the breath before I start banging them out again. And lastly, we've got a chest press. So on your lockout here, it costs you absolutely nothing. You could hold lockout all day. So take your time with that to reset your breath and get in the best breath that you can to brace and hold for the rep. So I think this is another one that feels really good to stretch that breath out for multiple reps, as many as you can when you're doing higher rep. So it doesn't always fall back to compound or isolation. It depends on the pressure on the lungs and what helps you to get the most from the set. Righto, so there you have it. Just remember, become the toad. Anyway, catch you later.